my lifestyle. I'm the new thing with a bright smile. Catch me when I'm out in public, always show them love, and I know they love it. Give you a reason to love me this season. I'm taking my chances, I hope it enhances my...
All right, welcome to Romera Records Podcast. Today we have on...
Yeah, Dr. Starr, Starr.
How's it going, man?
Good, man, good. Doing well.
Yeah, so Rachel, she finds people on Instagram, and she found you, and we've been lately. I think the past two people I've had on have been doctors. One was the surgeon that did my thumb, and then we had on Dr. Brown. She is a doctor for all kinds of stuff as far as like medical wise, and then also we have you as a chiropractor, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly, man. I've been doing chiropractic since 2003 here in Memphis, really. So it's pretty cool, man. It's been a blessing for me and my family, but man, I've opened up a lot of doors. So
nice. So what got you into the business?
Well, it started in junior high school, man. I was playing summer baseball, and we were over in Arkansas at the time, and I was water skiing with some friends and playing a little sand volleyball. There's a little bluff over there. I dove in there, man. I jammed my neck.
Ooh.
And all I can remember is wake up and breathe, and man, mud in my face, man. I got up. Well, anyhow, it severely strained that. I got up, I got out. And of course, I didn't want anybody to see me cry, man. I was, trying to be a tough guy. You know how it goes. But finally, I finally had to tell my friend's parents who had the ski boat to take me home. They had to brace my neck. Well, I got home. My mom was kind of panicking. You know how it is. Mm-hmm. We went to the ER. Next thing you know, man, I got a hairline fracture in my cervical spine, which is the top 7 vertebrae. So anyhow, it wasn't getting any better. I started getting the numbness tingling down the hands, all this stuff. And, I was lucky it didn't sever my cord, and probably paralyzed. But after a couple of few weeks, I finally went to and had a neck brace. I went to this chiropractor, and he started working it out, man, and increased the range of motion, put the motion back in there, and it healed up, took the pressure off the nerve, man. And you know what? From that point forth, I mean, I was always kind of like, in the student government president or class president or something of that, sort. So. All throughout school, but it changed my life because, I probably, man, if I would have, I always said if I would have been, disabled, I know I wouldn't have been where I am today. So no doubt, man, it was a cool deal.
Nice. So for that experience, did it just it started clicking in your head about
exactly
the impact that can have on your life?
Yeah, man, the skepticism kind of erased. I didn't know much about it, but, I started learning a little bit about it. And it's really chiropractic has been around since 1895.
Jesus.
And yeah, exactly. And, a lot of people don't even know the history. And, I have to say that it's, the Chiropractic Association, we probably have done less to promote that. Of course, we don't have, some of the money like pharmaceuticals backing us, of course, because it's more of a natural, holistic approach.
Yeah.
We're not really trying to cure anything. What we do, there's a life force within everybody. So, the neural tube is the first thing that's formed in the embryo, which is the brain stem. And from that, everything else starts to blossom. So what happens is you got 24 movable vertebrae when they're out of place, or you have a disruption within that nerve flow from your brain to wherever it's going. So, you can have it going to your heart, so you can have some arrhythmias. You can have it going to your stomach, so you have, decreased hydrochloric acid. You can have it, of course, muscle spasm. You can have it in your low back. But that also... The nerve has, 3 different functions. One is a sensory portion, meaning that you feel, vibration, touch. It registers up to your brain. Then the brain processes this. It goes down through the motor nerves in the same circuitry. So that goes to your muscles and it relaxes or contracts or whatever. So it tries to guard. But then you also have the autonomic nerve system portion. And that goes to organs, glands, and even controls your blood flow. So that's kind of a cool thing. So, I've had a lot of, just amazing things happen just by actually taking the pressure off the nerve system. So I look at us as probably, nerve doctors. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to joints. A lot of people try to, I guess, put us in the competition with orthopedic guys. But I've been on a lot of medical teams with the ortho docs and good friends of mine. I got some great friends like Ashley Park over at Campbell's Clinic. But, really the two differences, they take something that's past the physiological barrier, meaning your joint, for example, has ripped, so say a shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they'll reattach it. that's what they do best. What we do best is stuff that are fixated and stuck, like a frozen shoulder. We can get it in motion. We can put motion back in there. So, there's always the NSAIDs. Everybody tries to take the pain pills or, something that masks up the symptoms. But we get in there and we're joint setters, like they're bone setters. So it's pretty cool.
Do you find it difficult to like pinpoint what somebody's issue is? Like, do people have a hard time like articulating, like, somebody says my back hurts. Then you're
yeah.
Why does your back hurt?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, no doubt, man. A lot of people, I'll tell you what happens is they get in there and of course now, everybody has, has the knowledge of Google. So they come in, they have self-diagnosis. I can just tell you now. But so when they come in there, yes, but, we go through a differential diagnosis. Of course, we're looking like every other, as chiropractic physicians, we're looking like every other physician. Basically, you're going to go with the most life-threatening first. So I've had people that had heart attacks on my table. I've had people that all kinds of issues. But basically, you have to go through there. So you got to see if they're kind of going into stroke mode, see if they have, something, in the lower
While you're
back.
working on them?
Yeah, I can give you 12 different scenarios while you have back pain.
God.
Yeah, so here's the thing, the crazy thing. Let me tell you this story. We were out at the airport with the airport authority and, a lot of the TSA dudes. And there was a big deal. We were the only chiropractic. We had a lot of nurses out there, had the fire department, they were doing the health and wellness checks. And, of course, we're doing, like biomechanics and body posture. So this guy comes over there after several, and I was checking them out. I had a table where they could lie face down. Mm. And he comes over there, man, and he goes face down. But he, first he kind of tells me, he said, man, I'm just feeling a little nauseous. I'm like, wow, man. And, I'm as I'm talking to him, I'm kind of, asking him a few questions. Finally, he talks about, in between his shoulder blades are kind of bothering him a little bit, but stiff in there. But he's, relatively, middle-aged white guy, man, with, some stiffness, but nothing that I don't see on a regular basis anyhow. But as that nauseousness, as he laid down, he got worse over there. But then I could see that he started turning a little bit different colors. Mm. And then, anyhow, so I told this nurse that was sitting at the table next to me, I said, hey, man, go get the fire department. I said, this guy's having a heart attack. And, of course, he basically had a massive heart attack right there. And, of course, they come over there with a stretcher, man. They did the whole deal. They had to, luckily they had everything, the defibrillator, everything there. But, man, they were working on him and, and as they rolled him out. Well, that was probably, I would say, 2007, 2008. 2012, fast forward, this lady came in from FedEx, and she was from Jersey, and we were talking about chiropractic. She'd never been to a chiropractor, and she said, well, my husband, he had a heart attack on a chiropractor's table. And, of course, it's kind of, a cool story. But then I said, really? She said, yeah, he was at the airport. And I said, really? I said, so anyway, I said, man, that's it. I said, I didn't know if this guy's name was Jack. I didn't know if he lived or died. Yeah. But it was good to know that he recovered. But she said, yeah, she said, this guy saved his life. And, not that I didn't do anything that anybody else wouldn't do. But the point of that being, I was like, yes, man. But, it comes full circle, man. God puts people in your life, and boom, I like to hear some of the success stories.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, man. And that's happened, man, a couple times. That's crazy.
Man, there's got to be like, probably numerous people who have medical or, health issues that they don't even realize until, they get to somebody like you who brings it out of them.
Yeah. And in the defense of medical doctors, we have a lot of misdiagnosis from them. And of course, there's a lot of medical errors, and there's, over 100,000 people that die every year from erroneous errors. But, you also can't control some of the patients. When you prescribe them medicine, you don't know if they're going to follow the rules.
True.
And then there's a lot of factors that you don't, take in consideration. What else are they taking? Over the counter, or, maybe something they're not, telling you. So, and you only have a short moment of time as a medical doctor to see a patient, even the ER. I've got a great buddy who's an ER doc over there at Baptist. But, they only have a short window to catch all this history information and try to make a, life-changing decision. Whereas me, rehabilitation, I listen to them. They come in maybe multiple times a week for a few weeks. So I'm breaking it down. I'm getting a different story. So I go through there and, a lot of medical doctors that I refer to and different ones, they're like, man, he caught that. He's a chiropractor. But I've listened to this guy.
Yeah.
You know, I still go through the differential diagnosis. Like I say, you know, if you have low back pain, well, guess what? It could be kidney disease. It could be kidney stone. It could be basically just musculoskeletal, meaning muscles and bone joint disruption. It could be arthritis. It could be a herniated disc. It could be cancer that metastasizes to the bone. It could, I mean, I can give you all kinds of stuff what it could be. So when people go, oh, yeah, I just pulled it a little bit, you know, well, listen, you didn't go over there and reach for the orange juice down there, and that's what hurts your back. You know, it's like it's a tipping scale. It's probably the it's, I would say, like I always tell, it's kind of like the little needle in the haystack. You know, it's one little thing, but it was accumulation probably of something else if it wasn't major. But, it's so funny. But everybody goes through Google, man. So they come in, they tell me exactly what they have. I said, really? And then they also been to several different doctors. I usually work best after they've been to several different other doctors and they find no answers. But I never give up hope. And I'm going to tell you why. This is one of the things, man. It's not for me to decide. That's for between them and God, in my opinion. This is just my ways. And, hey, everybody's got their own opinion. So this is what I tell them. I'm like, listen, man, I don't care if you're stage 4. I don't care whatever you are, okay? I always say, listen, have hope. And this is that's kind of what Barack Obama and Trump, what made them, go further is, hey, they're trying to instill hope in people. And I get it. People want hope. But the truth of the matter is we don't know what the body's going to do. Your body is always in 100% of reparation and trying to repair itself and trying to, survive. It's in survival mode. I ask people all the time, hey, man, have you ever had a fever? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And, of course, a lot of people say, well, that's a bad thing. I'm like, well, what happens is your body knows there's something inside of it, whether it's a bacteria or virus, so it's going to cook it and elevate it to the right temperature, just like salmonella out of chicken, 375 for 45 minutes. Your body runs through the course.
Yeah.
We try to, we judge it by how we feel, which is the worst thing you can do with your health. Sometimes you're going to feel bad in the recovery stage. And here's what I mean. So you run to the medicine cabinet, you take a fever reducer. Well, guess what you're doing? You're not letting it cook it out. You're not letting it get rid of what it needs to naturally.
Yeah.
So now it thrives and survives and replicates and multiplies. Guess what, man? Then it's gonna wreak more havoc on your system. Sometimes let it run its course. And I get it. Your body can sustain, elevated temperatures for a while. And your body will know the higher the temperature, the greater the threat. So it knows what it's doing. Just trust God. It's kind of like a little tiny acorn. You don't have to. It has the instructions within it.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell it what to do.
Yeah.
But if you plant the seed, it grows into a mighty oak tree. You don't have to but it just needs no interference.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the nerve system. As long as your brain is sending the nerve flow and you're getting it back and forth, your body, it's like the hard drive of your system. So, man, it's going to actually tell your body what to do. Right now, you're listening to what I'm saying. Your heart's beating. Your pinky toe is growing a nail. It's doing this. You don't even think about that. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of awesome, man, how our body works. I love it.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's really crazy that, even with like the technology that we have today, people, they see certain symptoms of something, they do try to self-diagnose. And like you were saying, you take I'm having a fever. I should take something to get rid of this fever. And so now
yeah,
you're causing more problems than, you had in the first place.
Of course, man. I tell people, all the time the same thing. It's like, joint dysfunction, it causes disruption, when something's out. Just for example, say one of your spinal bones or any joint. I don't care if it's your knee, elbow, wrist, whatever. But when it's out of misalignment, it's like the tires of your car. You hit a pothole and throws that front end out of alignment. And if you lived in Memphis any time at all, you know what I'm talking about on those potholes.
For sure.
But everybody, the CDC says there's about 5,000 traumas in a kid's life. Just a kid. Okay.
That's
You're talking
crazy.
about, sliding into second base, jumping on trampolines, jumping off of porches, headlocks with your cousins, climbing trees, man, pole vaulting out when you shouldn't, rope swings. You name it, we've done it. And then, sliding outside on not to run on concrete, man. Anytime you got some little boo-boo, your mom goes over there, she'll wash it off, she'll kiss it and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But what's it doing to your spine? What's it doing to that joint? And as a twig is bent, so grows the tree. So here it is. We always say that scoliosis most of the time is an idiopathic disease. Well, I feel like that there was some cause. You know, you might have been riding your tricycle, man, and jammed up your tailbone. Now it's twisted. Guess what? And then those 24 movable vertebral bones, they start to misalign too. And it's going to wreak havoc on your spinal cord. Once it does that, that's in a small sense of a small little paralysis, wherever those nerve roots. You know, the spinal cord, just for example, stops around, you know, L1, L2, which is the 5 lower backbones. But then it sends those signals. Well, guess what it's doing, okay? It could possibly cause, you know, a little atrophy of that nerve. Well, that nerve also controls your blood flow. So that life force now is not getting down to, say, your kidney. So you could have an atrophy of a kidney later on in life. I mean, over time, you know, it's going to wreak havoc. Yeah. So, you know, how does one girl have bad menstrual cycles? Another one has, you know, normal. How does a guy have, you know, ED at some point? You know, I mean, there's all kinds of factors. I'm just saying. But, you know, all those nerves that's going down in that area, low back, colon, rectum, getting up bladder. If your bladder's not voiding and you know, your urine, I mean, there's probably some little nerve root cause. And I don't care, even if it's structural down there and that organ is actually deficient, it's going to still cause that disruption because it has to regulate up to your brain when to void it. Yeah. So there's always a communication. It's like power lines. Your power lines are down. We're going to take that pressure off the nerve, reestablish that. I'll tell you real quickly, there was 3 complete deafnesses that I actually was adjusting somebody's neck and it restored their hearing.
What?
And so that it's kind of crazy, man, since then. So 3 time I had 3 different women that actually did that. So I took the pressure. Yeah, it's wild, man. And you know, I wasn't treating them for deafness. I wasn't. Yeah. I mean, I don't care what you have, really. I mean, I do as a person, and I'm very sympathetic. And you know, it's you know, I care what you have and what you're concerned about. Yeah, yeah. But my main concern is, hey, is there a miscommunication? You know, from your body to your brain, from your brain to your body. Okay, and can I reestablish that connection? Yeah. And if I can, I know that I've done 100% of what I can do. That's all I can do. And it's not practicing medicine. It's not doing that. It's actually putting the life force back together. And I always say this, I move the bone, God does the healing, man. It happens no other way. So I don't take any credit for anything, and I don't take any blame. But I know that your body is going to be 100% self-regulating, self-robust, self-communicating, and it's going to have the best chance to thrive and survive again. So that's cool, man. But yeah, when I took that off, but I mean, here it is. 2 of those ladies actually had strokes previously, but they were completely deaf. I'll go through the 12 cranial nerve evaluation, man. I'll do the pupillary reflex. I'll do the eye movement. I'll do the, you know, smell, taste. I'll do the hearing checks. I'll do all the good stuff, you know, just like a neurologist will. So when you come in, I can do those things. I can diagnose those things very quickly. But complete deafnesses, man, I took that, boom, I moved the bone and, you know, pow, man, and they started to hear again. I mean, you know, it's so rewarding, man. I mean, I've had, you know, so many people cry. And, you know, I mean, hey, man, I get emotional in there, too. I mean, everybody gets a big bear hug when they come in to see me. So I don't care who you are, man. I mean, we're probably the biggest mix of people, man. I mean, I've got people from all walks of life, I've really never refused people that couldn't even pay. I mean, I've never turned anybody away. I mean, I still, you know, there has to be a fair exchange in the universe of some sort. You know, like everything else. I mean, unfortunately, even churches have to charge. Yeah. But I get it. I mean, hey, it's a money world nowadays. But, you know, it's not all about the money, man. It's about putting love and energy. And the cool thing is, I love it, man. If, you know, we touch, we shake hands, we hug each other. You know, my electrons are jumping on yours, and that's so close that we don't even see that. But you look at the atomic elements and how the electric field goes in there, but our energy is exchanging. Yeah. And I think that's pretty powerful, man.
The body, as far as like, you know, that connection that you were talking about, like the neurons, like everything has like its place. And if, you know, if somebody messed that up, so like something is in my eye and it's bothering the piss out of me. Like me and Rachel, we were talking about like people in car accidents, because she had been in a car accident, and so she had like a hip problem. Well, it was kind of like a thing where she knew her hip was messed up, but she didn't know it was, you know, from the car crash, you know. And then when she went to a doctor, they're like, "Have you been in a car accident or something like that? That could have jostled your body a little bit."
Sure.
So I mean, I've definitely seen people who have like, "Hey, I've been in a car accident, so that's what has caused my why I walk this way or something like that. And I'm like, man, that's like, even if, you didn't get badly injured, just that jostling of the body rearranges things. And you were talking about like the vertebrae as well. That's wild.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, so here's the thing, okay? So now all of a sudden, any sort of accident, and, I hate when people try to minimize that. Mm-hmm. And, they'll even, and I get it, insurance adjusters, their job is to represent their clients, their customers, their people. But they try to minimize that. They know this information. And it's not fair for the general public to try to start to combat somebody. It's almost like, here it is. You're just now going to the karate class, but then you got a sensei over there and you got to fight the guy. So you better have some knowledge with you. And I don't like people trying to minimize it. But if you got torn tissue, guess what? It doesn't repair itself in the same way. Soft tissue, muscles, ligaments, tendons, okay, it runs in a wood grain pattern, right? The striations, and that's how it contracts, okay? The little filaments slide and glide over one another and kind of contracts in a ratcheting effect. Well, when you tear that, you're going to feel soreness, but that's internal bleeding, okay? How it repairs itself is into a crisscross fashion, okay? And now it's forming gristle like in a piece of meat. And so it's a different texture. It's called fibrotic adhesions. And so now that loses range of motion. Okay, so then that's going to happen for the rest of your life. And the best chance of repair is to get those joints realigned. Sometimes you have to do a little physiotherapy. That's why we got a good little marriage, and that's what we do there. We do the physiotherapy, we do the chiropractic alignments, and I think they all work great. They're all good massage therapy. But, you always see people say, well, chiropractic and physical therapy, they're kind of butting heads. And it's like, no, man, I believe in realigning the joints and then doing strengthening stuff afterwards. And any physical therapist or personal trainer, any of these guys, man, can tell you that's what it's going to take. And, you want to get the best chance of recovery. That's what has to happen.
Do you feel like you are like the beginning or middle or like the end of somebody's, if somebody comes in with the issue, are you like, so if you're the beginning, you'd say, all right, now we're done here. You need to go see so-and-so. Or if you're the middleman, like, oh, you should have saw somebody before me, or you need to go see somebody next. Or how do you feel like you're in the stage of somebody's recovery?
Well, we are like PCPs, primary care physicians. We can get, somebody off the street. They can come in to see us. That's great. I think that we should be the first stop, honestly. Here it is. If you're say, for example, just for, any injury. But if, you can take a few NSAIDs, obviously do a little bit of the icing, reduce inflammation. Hey, if it recovers within, 48 hours or so, you may be sore a couple of days, and then your full range of motion's back there, you're having no problems, then that's probably okay. Yeah. Okay, but past that, it's probably an indication that you're not. We will diagnose that for you. We'll find out, hey, what it is. We can always do, the radiographs, x-rays. We can also do MRIs. We can also do, ultrasounds or whatever we may need to help diagnose that, of course. But once you do that and we determine what it is, then we can start putting those alignments because, when I was growing up, man, a knee injury, you're out for the season. Yeah. Now it's not that way, man. Yeah. Hey, after 72 hours and you reduce the inflammation, right, and you start to have a little bit of healing process, they go right into rehab. Mm-hmm. So you put some realignment back in there, okay? Then you start to do the increased range of motion. So through stretching, then you start to do the strengthening exercises. See, those are all physical therapy stuff. And then that's what helps. So I think we're the first stop, no doubt. Okay. So, and plus, as we've had the training to do the differential diagnosis. So, and any really qualified, doctor should be able to tell you kind of what it is. And, we know in a quick amount of time, we don't have to sit there and go for a long-term treatment plan before we say, hey, wait a minute, man, we were wrong. Yeah. If you're not doing something right in the short amount of time, man, you should be able to refer them out to somebody that, and I tell everybody, hey, listen, I might not be the right guy for you. If you're having arrhythmias, and, you have neck pain, you have arm pain, well, guess what? That's also the same symptoms as a heart attack. Left jaw pain, shortness of breath, squeezing of the chest, left arm pain. I see a lot of people with left arm pain and numbness and neck pain. So how do I know if they're having a heart attack? Of course, I'll take their blood pressure. I'll do some, other things in there, but I can also listen to their, carotid artery. So I can, I'll do some of those things too. But, at the same time, if it's on that same circuitry, it is going to your heart. So you could have that. But, you may be, and here's the thing, like a little beta blocker or whatever, that a cardiologist would give you. You can also take stuff. You might have a magnesium deficiency. Well, that's a natural calcium channel blocker. So all muscle contractions are an influx of calcium rushing into that cellular level. So if you take magnesium, you can combat that. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that you can do naturally a lot of times. So,
do you feel like there's a very big misconception that people have, like when they come in? Like, do you think that people already have a preconceived, like, this is what's wrong with me, you need to do this to fix me?
Yes. I mean, no question, man. There's always, people always have their idea. They, here it is. And sometimes, it's like, I'm going to see a chiropractor. Oh, but if it's that serious, I need to go see a surgeon. Everybody has their opinions. And everybody has now their educated opinions, and they're probably through case studies or even trials. So that's what we go with. But, I always say this, and this is not always the case, but if you're a surgeon, then you probably fixed almost everything that we're talking about through surgery at some point. But, there's also, you're going to get probably a surgical, somebody will probably give you a surgery recommendation. If that's who you're going to go see. You go to a chiropractor, you're probably going to get a chiropractic, recommend course of action. If you go to a medical doctor, he may give you some pain pills. And, here's the thing, if we try to get them out of their pain, obviously, but it may take a couple of days, or it may be that one day that we help increase that range of motion, take the pressure off the nerve, and they get out of pain. But, once again, just know that some of these pills aren't going to be the fix-all. There's not I can give you an adjustment, what we call the adjustment, which is basically going the right amount of force with the right line of drive, with the right torque, and put that, vertebral bone or any joint back in place. Well, guess what? At that moment, even that neurological flow, it starts to enhance. It's kind of running slow because it's it's like, how you have cookies and all this stuff on your hard drive and it starts to bog down and it makes you mad because, man, it's like, man, we're so impatient. Same thing with the healing process. It's not healing right, even if it is healing a little bit at a time. It's trying to go there, but it's like an uphill train. It's it's trying to gain some momentum. But as soon as we put it back in there, man, it opens up. It's like, I love watching surgery. I've been into several different surgeries, and as soon as you take the pressure off a little puny nerve, it opens up like a fire hose. So it goes from a little garden hose to a fire hose, man. And so man, somebody's getting some good communication. It's like, wow, man. It's like, hey, a big speaker wire that you build one of them boxes that you used to have in your trunk. But, you got the right gauge going. So,
man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy,
I didn't know that worked like that.
Yeah. Well, another thing, probably one of the most interesting things for me in school was going through, histology and all the other courses that we had. But that blood vessels will find a path of least resistance. It will build bridges even around blockages. So when you gain a bunch of weight, man, you gain a couple 100 pounds, guess what? That tissue has to be supplied. So it will build extra branches off of a tree or different eddies out of a river.
Wow.
So, and then here's the thing, but when you lose that, your body doesn't need those extra vessels, right?
Yeah.
So here's what it does. It takes it and it goes back to that vessel, to that main current, and it seals it up. Yeah, it's kind of like the Matrix, dude. And so anyways, but that's amazing because you don't think of it like that. But how does a tree know where to put a branch off of the trunk root? It just does. There's no explanation, and I don't care. It's probably, you can take, some of the highest IQs in the world, and, they can't explain those things. Same thing, with the body. And that's what I love about it, man. It's never ending. You can, you know how it is. You're a big guy, man. You work out, but I've read. I kind of started that. Man, I used to love those muscle and fitness magazines. That's where I started. I started looking at, creatine, and I'd read all this research, all this stuff. And then there's some pretty smart dudes, man. L-arginine, vasodilators, citrulline. We know all the stuff, but and it's cool to kind of read all of that. But that's kind of what got me into that. So I think that's one of those things, man. I love to study about the body. You can never ever tap out on what the body. Don't ever get so relaxed that you think you know everything, which I don't think anybody does. But You know, it's kind of easy because some of these processes you see that, but you always have to go through everybody's case as a different individual case, and that's what you want to find a doctor that can do that.
Yeah.
Rather than just kind of grouping you together. I mean, there's a physician desk reference that has like, okay, I've got these symptoms. Let's go with this pill, and if you're the majority of those, let's just go with this. But once again, it's like heartburn. Okay, so you give an acid like say a Tums, a calcium. Okay, well, it's going to buffer that acid. But, physiologically, you can't really have too much acid within your stomach, okay, because it's doing what it needs to do. It's breaking down your food. You better have the right gastric juices and the right hydrochloric acid in there in the first place, or you're not going to break down your food.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, the problem is we probably are deficient in enzymes. So we need to take a digestive enzyme. You can see a lot of the protein shakes and a lot of this stuff, they're already putting those in there in these powders now. Okay. Well, they know that what happens is the American diet, man, we're eating donuts and all this stuff. And I got it. Hey, that's what we do. You know? Fried stuff. And I'm guilty. Hey, man, my grandmother, man, she can make a mess of fried chicken you wouldn't believe. But hey, I love all of that.
Yeah.
But the whole deal is we've already tapped it out. So what are our what are our three types of foods? You look at this. You got proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. There's some reason why you're actually not breaking that down.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you got your saliva, right? So a lot of people with TMJ, there's these parotid glands. This is where protein is stored, the protease that breaks down proteins. So when you have a lot of TMJ and a lot of women, then once you're protein deficient, guess what you are? You're automatically calcium deficient. You're setting yourself up for osteoporosis, osteopenia. This is the stuff you won't get from anybody else. Okay, they just give you a Tums and you're moving on.
Yeah.
So same thing here, proton pump inhibitor. Okay, and I got it. For a quick fix, it's okay, but we got to get down to the root cause. Let's go ahead and get you out because that's your symptoms. But here's what happens. A lot of times your esophagus starts to shorten and contract. You get a hiatal hernia within your stomach. It twists off. Now you got a little flapper like in the toilet. It's not hitting. So that gastric juices, when you do eat, it's splashing up there and causing GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disorder. Man, you take you some digestive enzymes, find out which one you're not breaking down properly. Take those before you eat. Before long, it heals that up a little bit. I'll even do hiatal hernia adjustments. I'll actually lengthen that, get the stomach back positioned again. But it's kind of cool, man.
That's one of those things that nobody really thinks about until they're having that issue. Like it should be way more of a proactive thing than a reactive thing. And I know
exactly.
A lot of people really don't think about what they're eating until I had a guy on, he's a musician, Adam McClellan, and he said, I think he lost, I can't remember how much weight he lost, maybe like 100 and something pounds. And he was like, I ended up having like a fry stuck in my stomach and one day, and I was like, I've got to start losing weight. But it's, it hit people one day, and it's usually, I think, isn't gout caused by usually health issues?
Yeah, it's uric acid overload, uric acid production. But and like you say, it's one of the things, usually it's sedentary lifestyle. You're not doing any exercise, okay?
Yeah.
Probably not drinking enough water. And then two, you could have red meats. There's, a lot of cheese, meat eaters. I see a lot of that, of course, processed meats a lot of times, everything that has the artificial preservatives like nitrates, nitrites in there. So, that's what that is. But you have a high uric acid production. So, how do you do that? You combat that, man. Black cherry juice, great for you. Digestive enzyme, once again, drink tons of water, flush it out, get moving. And of course, if it's in your big toe or, in your ankle or any joint, it's hard to move that because it's painful, but you got to flush it out. You got to get some motion in there.
So what's up with the with superfruits? Like they basically have certain, is it just like enzymes or something within them that helps, I guess, with inflammatory issues and stuff like that? Yeah,
man. You see, of course, they come out with something new every year.
Yeah.
So, I've seen every need juice pill on the market, man. Yeah. But there's these superfruits for sure. But
they say blueberries help with your memory and stuff like that.
What happens is, pomegranates. Next thing you'll see all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they do have a high antioxidant. So they are great for you. you got to go back to, what are we designed? We're from the earth, man. We're earth creatures. So you have to get down to, eating a lot of the fruits and vegetables. They have the digestive enzymes in there and the fiber that you need. But, you look at all the processed stuff, you look at McDonald's and all that stuff, man, it's hard to find any fibrous stuff in there. Of course, they're getting better. I think the whole world's waking up. Now you see the impossible kick. Everything's impossible around here. But one of the things about it, man, you need that roughage. You need that to go in there. It's almost like Mama used to put the comic in the tub, man, those scouring, brush to clean it up, get all that stuff out of there. Well, that's true. Same thing with your colon and intestinal tract. You need that stuff, that roughage, but the dietary fibers. But yeah, they're great, man. They do have different things. Like you say, I say any, spinach. Some of the best top foods, berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, all of those are so great for you, but they're high antioxidant stuff. Of course, anything that has the lycopene, the kind of the orange, the red, fruits and vegetables, carrots and, all of those cantaloupes and, but yeah, just eat a variety. If, the more colorful your plate is, the better off you are.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
and really, it's simple, man. You're talking about bodybuilders. We got all this protein stuff, and man, some of these guys live and die by that. You see how they are, man. They go in there and they spend all this stuff. You don't have to spend a lot, man. Some of the prettiest people on the planet are prisoners. They're all symmetrical. They're working out, but hey, they get what they get. They don't get to choose their foods.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me they're in there eating protein shakes and they got the old top bars. But I'm just saying is they put the work in, and they're still symmetrical. Their body learns what to do with it.
Yeah.
But you do need a good variety, man. I love seeds and nuts. Anything that grows from the ground, in my opinion, is good for you.
Yeah.
I think we're over. And I love meat. Don't get me wrong. I eat a ton of that too. But I think we overeat meat. Honestly, I love fish, chicken, steaks. I like it all, man. Burgers. I do the same thing. I know we're over carb infested.
Oh, yeah.
And that's keto's been big. Mediterranean diet. All those are great, and all those little things work. I don't like putting people on a specific diet. I'll give them options. But I like giving them a food list. Here it is. I'm going to give you a food list. You pick out of these. Okay, because if I give you something and you don't like it, man, I'm not going to force you to eat that. And you're not going to eat it.
Yeah.
And they're going to go stick with it. Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing is what can you stick with? Well, if you pick those out, so you go with your grocery shopping list, but hey, I'm going to eat one out of this group, one out of this group, one out of this group, and I'm going to do that a couple times a day, okay, I'm good. And as long as I'm taking the supplements, especially like maybe a digestive enzyme to break that down, at least until you kick it until your body can start to, put it in there. It's kind of like, you see people with what's the number one prescribed thing for people with like, anxiety or depression?
Just like a bunch of
medication.
Like a bunch of pills. And
like Prozac. Okay. Well, here's the thing, man. I had this old man. This is years ago, man. This is when I first got in this thing almost 20 years ago. He told me, he said, it was designed to get people over an episode. You lose your, spouse or your, a kid or something like that, or, maybe a divorce or something that's very traumatic. So for 30 days, we're going to try to get you help because you're depressed. I got it, man. Life is, hey, it's all this stuff, man. It's anxiety and worry and stress, all that stuff. So that's called a SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Okay, well, serotonin is that good euphoric feeling. So your brain, there's neurotransmitters, it actually has this, okay? But it causes it to linger within within your system. So you actually feel better longer. So you're feeling that serotonin. It's like, yeah, it's cool. That's what that's designed to do. So it keeps it from going back up, and so it's letting it linger. Well, after a while, your body can't make that. It can't manufacture that. So you've tapped it out. And here's the thing, you just keep taking it. And some people prescribe this for years and years. They never get off of it. Well, that leads into another, there's a side effect of this. So another mental disorder. And you're actually wrecking up havoc on somebody's system, man. And, give it to them for one episode, but everybody's responsible for your own health. I don't care if it's mental. I don't care if it's, physical. No government's going to take care of you, man. No, they can't. I got it. It's Listen, that's one reason I choose. It's like the esoterical viewpoint that Tony Robbins adheres to. I believe everything happens to us for a reason. Somebody robs me, hey, I probably did something to kind of get that. Now, is there happen circumstances where that's not true? Well, probably. There's not a lot of absolutes in this universe anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever you think is reality for you.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I kind of, but this is why I choose to believe that stuff happens. You can call it karma. You can call it, hey, man, do unto others you want others do unto you. You can call it whatever you want. But I like that. And here's why. Because I can change it. But if I'm a victim of happenstance and circumstance and there's nothing I can do, then it's poor pity me. I throw a self-pity party. And I'm not all about that. Mm-hmm. And everybody kind of needs to adhere to that. In my opinion, it would be better if you did, even if it's not true. You make it true to you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just so the circumstances you can change. I might have had a bad attitude, so stuff happened to me. And I will say this, I have seen more people with poor attitudes get more wrong doing still. I'm like, dang, man, but they're almost every single thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, man, they're an overload, but you also got a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on in the whole world. I love people, man. And I'm receptive, man. When I started out, I went down to Douglas. I went to Humes Middle. Did you grow up here?
I'm actually from Aniana, Alabama.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
But anyways, I went to
Alabama.
the poorest of the poor. I went to Booker T. Washington. Mm-hmm. I went to, all these schools, inner city schools. I went to the worst of the worst. Okay, why did I do that, man? I went over there to give health talks to these teachers and pep talks. Mm. I'm an encourager, man. That's my spiritual gift. Okay, I'm not even a gift of healer. I thought I was, and I prayed about it. And it's like, no, man, you're an encourager. So hey, my homeboy Jesus give me what he wants. That's good. I'm cool with it, man. Whatever my calling is, I'm cool with that. But I thought, hey, it's like a trickle-down effect. If I can change the lives of these teachers, man, I give them a little bit of encouragement, give them some motivation. They can go in there and they can help with the students, and it keeps going through the whole community. Why can't we do that? And, of course, I'm at, kids, all this stuff, man. I go over there and give them big bear hugs. They like that, and, it's really sharing love and energy. And that's kind of what, attitude is. If you have that and you're receptive and, hey, man, it's okay. It's okay to give. It's okay to let people win. The whole deal is, it's like this. Even if you can defeat somebody, just smile knowing that you can do it. It's like in an argument. Knowing that you're right, there's nothing better than me than when somebody's trying to argue and I know good and well I'm right. So, and I kind of just let it. Now, sometimes I'll resist that and I'll kind of want to prove that point, so I can get them. But then sometimes I'll let it go thinking, man, I know I'm right. You know what I'm saying? So, but what's wrong with sometimes letting somebody else win?
Yeah.
Therefore, I've had success in my life, man. I've worked with, some Grizzlies. I've worked with some NBA players. I've worked with, professional football players, WWE wrestlers. I travel with Andy Roddick, the tennis player, the last number one American male in the world was Andy Roddick, past Andre Agassi. So, and unfortunately, I don't see another one coming from America, and that's so unfortunate because, man, we're always on top.
Yeah.
The whole world watches us, and as Americans, man, it's kind of cool. But he's a cool dude, man. He's humble. But I traveled with him for 2 years. He retired in 2012 up at the U.S. Open, and I was with him when he retired. It was good stuff, man. He treated me well, and I love to hang out with him. I did some of these things. I did some urinalysis with him, man. I found out what he was deficient. I gave him supplementation. I gave him adjustments. It's cool, man, just to hanging out. Yeah, I like walking around with little Elvis or something. But, Mercedes, man, he's got a, Brooklyn Decker is his gorgeous wife. But he is very knowledgeable, very humble guy, never refused an autograph, very loyal. We'd go to this, I forgot, Winston-Salem over there. He was playing the Winston-Salem Open. But we were in a little booth, and, of course, with his coach and, physical therapy guy that runs with us, Doug Spreen. Some people, they don't care if you're eating in between bites. They want an autograph.
Yeah,
you know how it is. And, so he's on the inside of him, and I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of his bodyguard, but not really. But I'm like, I look at him like, you want this? And he's like, yeah, I get up, because they wanted a picture. An autograph wasn't good enough, but I'm like, man, he's in there in between bites. I'm like, but he knows that his day was limited, his days. So he was very humble with that. But he always, did that for kids, and he's always giving back. Another thing, man, and he actually, there was, one of the things, he actually donated his money to St. Jude, all of it.
Oh, wow.
And I was just great friends with the owner of the racket club. Okay. And he told me the story, which Andy told him not to tell people. And of course he messed up and told me, so I told a couple people. But I mean, this is after he's finished, so after he's retired. So I guess at the time it didn't really matter. But he won that purse, and when he won that championship, and then he said, "Hey man," they were going to write him a check. He said, "No," he said, "Throw that money to the kids, St. Jude." He said, "Now on top of that, I'm going to write a check."
Oh, wow.
And so anyways, and he had given his check out of his own personal, which that very rarely happens with athletes. And I got it, because you're drawing the crowds and all that stuff. That's your payday. But that's just kind of guy he is. And even when he retired, he went down to Austin and to help all the inner city youths. And they tried to get him to go downtown Austin where it's like, pimp houses, up in the big penthouse suites and all that good stuff. And he's like, "No, man." He said, "We're going to just go right here above the kids." He said, "Where the kids are is where I want to be." Yeah. So he built his home office right there.
That's wild.
So, and that's cool. So, you know what? I mean, I respect a guy like that. He and Serena, best friends. I mean, it's good. Those guys are very humble. I mean, of course it is with most athletes. I mean, they're good folks, and I mean, they put in the work. So, I like that. They have a lot of pull. What they say, they have to be very careful. And I know, these guys didn't get a lot of mentoring a lot of times growing up. They're just great athletes. They're talented. Yeah. But, I think that's one of the things they can do to help influence that. I wish there was a mentorship for every athlete. And I think that really goes from the agents who don't mind taking their money. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they need to be the ones to help mentor them. I mean, I thought about getting into that at some point so I could help them with their health coaching, with, that, but also just mentorship, man. Yeah. Just being there for them. But I think that
mental, mentorship is just as helpful as that physical mentorship.
Oh, yeah, man. I don't care what kind of stress, any stress, whether it's mental, spiritual, physical, or biochemical in your body is going to cause the same havoc. It's going to cause your nerve system, man, to go haywire. Mm-hmm. So it's all about that balance, that sympathetic, fight or flight response, or that parasympathetic. So, yeah, like you say, man, that's just and really, man, I mean, it's hard to forget what people has called you and told you. And, I think we're kind of getting that opened up even in, you talk about the whole, racial equality. I mean, we're opening up, and I think there's going to be some wounds there because nobody wants to be weak. They are seen as weak. And also, nobody wants, it's hard to ask for forgiveness. It's hard to say, "I love you." Yeah. And really mean it. I mean, it's easy when you got just dropping that and you don't care. "Hey, love you, baby." Hey, how you doing? Yeah. But it's really hard when it's at home and, there's people that hurt you and you have to say, "I love you," and really mean it. But you know what? This is life. Humans, do bad things to each other. Mm-hmm. We hurt those that are closest to us. I do the same thing. I do the same thing with my family. We say things and they say things to me and it hurts. And it shouldn't be that way. But those closest to you usually hurt the most because you can say that and they still care. Yeah. But, that's not the way it should be, but that's the way it really is in reality. And I tell people that all the time. I said, they don't mean that, man. They just want to see your response. And they know that you're pushing their buttons or they're pushing yours, one of the two. But, hey, that's how it is. But at the end of the day, you got to forgive people, man. You got to love people. You got to let it, you can't be so sensitive on it. And I think that's a big thing. And we all need to do that better. And, I always like to say America is still the greatest land in the country, in the world. And our country, I'm so proud of it, man. We've overcome so many obstacles. We're the new world. Yeah. And everybody wants to be us. Everybody tries to get in here. You very rarely see Americans trying to jump ship.
Yeah, right.
But and here it is. I mean, we have the liberty to go out and express our views. I mean, I love this. Yeah, we can say this, man. We can do whatever. We can talk about, POTUS. We can love on them. We can do whatever right here on the mic.
We definitely take that for granted.
We're not going to be. We take that for granted, man. We're not going to be decapitated. Go try that in North Korea and see what happens. I mean, hey, the dude killed his uncle. So you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's. We have to remember that, and I wish people would reflect on that. And I think there's a lot of scars. Yes, of course. Hey, the whole world has been messed up, man. I mean, but at the end of the day, we got to realize, hey, man, we're here only for a short time. Another so many years, and your life's not going to be here. Then what? Leave a legacy of love, And don't there's a fine line of trying to stick up for what's right, and I want everybody to. I love peaceful protest. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a voice.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, what are we going to do? Let's move forward and love each other, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big thing that a lot of people have an issue with, is just speaking your mind, but at the same time, like, listening. Like, a lot of people don't know how to have a legit conversation. They want everything to be an argument. They want some animosity. It's almost like people thrive off of that argument, the disagreement, when really it should just be a conversation that should be had. Like, you've got your views, I've got my views. Let's just talk about it instead of arguing about it and seeing who's right. Like you were talking about earlier.
no doubt, man. That's what it is. And they want to win.
Yeah.
It seems like they want their side to be heard so much that they're willing to do whatever, sacrifice whatever just to win. It's
willing to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So, here's the thing is listen to the other people and get that down. And you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
And then it's okay not to have the same belief system. I got it, man. I'm all right with that. I choose what I choose because I really feel convicted for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'd probably do the same. But here's the thing. I'm not going to force anything down your throat. Can't we just get along? I mean, can't we just, do this and kind of compromise on hey, that's your space, if that's cool, and this is mine. I'm going to believe like this, and I can still have rules. You got to have rules. I mean, hey, there's rules in football, man, rules in any sport. So, and if you don't play by the rules, it's kind of like I love playing basketball, a little pickup game, but man, I hate getting fouled and not call it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, dude, man, hey, the old slap in the face, man, you got me by the wrist. I ain't get you, all this. But if you don't play by the rules, or you can't double dribble, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then what, here's the thing is, so there has to be rules in the land, constitutional, all this stuff, and I know, people even, kind of look at those differently, but there has to be some rules we have to play by and live by, and it makes it more fun. Yeah. I mean, I like playing games where we have rules because you have limitations. Therefore, people can't cheat.
Yeah.
And so then if you win, you feel better about yourself. If you have it where it's just a free for all, and it's the same thing with this whole world, man. Let's just kind of have rules, and I like it in place. And I mean, I know there's may not be governing bodies or United Nations or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things, but I think if people would sit down with a good dialogue, open heart, that they can come up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
And I do agree with having, and this is something way off the topic, but man, having limitations on congressmen, man. Throw somebody new in there. Throw some new ideas.
Yeah.
You get people, and just because they've done something in the past. I mean, hey, career politicians, man. I mean, and I don't have a problem with you wanting to run again, but let somebody new in there. I think, in my opinion, I think presidency should be 6 years.
I was just about to say, it would be more interesting if they, instead of having 2 terms, just make it only 1 term and just extend it to 6 years.
Here's what I see about that, okay? So your first time you get elected, right? You don't know what you're doing. You're kind of feeling your way. I mean, here it is. It takes you a year or so. Yeah, orientation, exactly, man. So you're a Wookiee.
Yeah.
So as a rookie, man, you go in there, so you don't know what you're doing. I got it. So you feel your way around a little bit. Then you finally get in some of your policies, some of your, thinking, and, kind of get those starting to go through the House and the Senate and all this stuff and get it approved. Well, you got about a year, then you're campaigning again.
Yeah.
So we just paid for all this crap, man. So here's the thing. Just go to 6 years. The first year, you're still doing the little orientation, like you say. But then you got the rest of the years. You got 5 good years in you. And here it is. At the end of the day, you're going to be true to that. You're not going to be trying to win a vote. You're out of there. And so anyways, and obviously you may leave a legacy for your own deal, but then, hey, move on with somebody else. And it would save taxpayers dollars.
Yeah.
Less elections. Same thing. I mean, maybe if you have that for, some senators and all that good stuff, but yeah, maybe 2 terms or whatever it is. Hey, man, or 6 year and move them on.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the same, man. Just roll on with it.
I really do think that we should, I don't know about change the whole Constitution, but it should. The amendment system, I think, has gone too far, in my opinion. I think there's too many amendments to where it's like the document like we started out with is not the same thing.
Exactly.
So I think personally, this is my opinion, I feel like we should be in a new constitution should be in the works. I mean, we've had it since 1775. I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah.
We've been
Well,
having
with the amendments, like you say, man, you don't even know what it really states or what it really means. I mean, by the time you start to amend everything, and you think you're getting better and better, and I think some of that is ego too, where people want to put amendment in there so they can put their name on something. You know, hey man, I was the one that actually wrote this amendment to it. I'm better than ever the Constitution. You know, here it is. It's mankind leading up to that, but. It's kind of, this is the Judeo-Christian views and Christian views and all this stuff. But, like the 10 Commandments, man, those are cool rules. Thou shalt not kill, man. That's pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but anyway, we've kind of derived, we come up with our own thing. But I agree. I think there's a lot of stuff to it that antiquated, that some of the stuff that they've even amended, man. I mean, I can't hardly even read that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always thought myself as at least a little bit of, kind of intelligent, guy. But I'm looking at some of this stuff going, man, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
So, but, in layman's terms, let's break it down into just good old layman's terms so everybody can kind of understand this thing. But
and people say even like the Second Amendment was really about like the fact that when we had militias and everything like that, it was giving the people the right to bear arms to be able to, if they need to protect their family against the redcoats, then they were able to do that. But now people thinking of more like, I just want guns and I just want to have. I mean, I've got my guns here, but
of course,
it's at the same time it wasn't really the initial intent. And I mean, we probably had a few million people in America back then with the 13 colonies. Now we've got 300 and something million. So it's a different world.
Yeah, 350 million or how many ever we have, 330 or 350, whatever you say. And here, that's a good example. Here's the thing is, yes, it protects us from especially foreign invaders back then. And you needed those. I mean, you don't really need those now. I mean, I think Costa Rica doesn't even have an army. And they're relying on us to protect them in South America or Central America for that case. But, I do agree. The only thing is, hey, here it is. Once you get a government that controls all the weaponry, which, it's kind of like China, once everybody surrenders everything, well, not everybody's going to do what's right in there at some point. And then you don't have anything to protect. I mean, unfortunately, China, I don't care how many people. They can't stop those tank weapons. They can't stop the bombs. I mean, Hiroshima, all that sad stuff that we've seen in the past. I mean, they can do that. And, if you don't have weapons, I mean, you can't whip them with a sword. But but at the same time, I mean, we've gotten out of hand with it. I think, you don't need a lot, but, you just need people to do what's right in place. And that's one reason why I love people that have the freedom of vote. Everybody needs to vote. I don't care which side it is. I just want them to vote for their heart and go out there and really look at, hey, look who's going to try to rep America well. So you got to have. I always love being a peacemaker, man. I think you get in there. I mean, I haven't always done that. I mean, I try to live up to that standard, but it's not the same. But like you say, there's so many instigators out there that just like to start stuff, and that's, man, you sure don't want somebody in power that has that, because, you can have somebody controlling everything, man, before long. And, if you give, that's the only thing with socialism, it looks good on the surface. It looks good like, hey, man, we'll just share, but then not everybody's going to put in the sharing efforts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, we've had this joke for a while. It's called, and nothing against Arby's, but Arby's versus Chick-fil-A. But I mean, Chick-fil-A's got everything down.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you go somewhere, I mean, they serve a lot of people, but they do it efficiently, and they have a wide array of people. It's not stereotyping anybody, because they're, women, men, gender, race, black, white, Hispanics. I've seen them all. But you go to some of these restaurants, man, and they have the most frumpy attitudes, and and I've been there, and I still, but even going through some of those, but it's all about, I guess, training and a system in place. But that's kind of what we need with this country. We need to get back to the grassroots of loving people, man, and sharing. Kids, kids don't see any color, man. Kids don't see any. They play with each other. They'll fight. And next thing you know, man, they're back there playing back in the gravel again, and it's beautiful to see that. We need to have that same thing. We need to have that same mentality as grown-ups. And as you get older, just know that, hey, you're not going to be here. And if we all were, like we only had like a month to live, what would you do differently? if you had that same attitude, that's gratitude, man, being thankful. I guarantee in this country, everybody, I don't care if you're the poorest of this country, you still had a lot more than the world. And man, I mean, go over there, look at Africa, look at somebody that doesn't have well water. I mean, just the simple fact of water. I mean, we do have a public school system. I mean, I love the public school system. I grew up in a public school system. Nothing wrong if you want to have private school system. I got it. But, I think that helps you deal with people.
Yeah.
I think, in a public school system, you got some people that are a little bit slow mentally. You got some people that actually have, that are disabled. You got, so you have different mixes of crowds.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to get along with people, and that's life.
Yeah.
So, and I got it. So you got, people that go through, private school, and they kind of get that. So. All their life too, but I mean they're hard workers. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I love the public school system. I think that's a fair system because you start to learn about life.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, I mean I did go through basic training, so I went through that with an MOS and went through training, military training. I think everybody that's able should have to go.
Yes,
and,
I do too.
And here's the reason I say that. What I loved about that, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, 11 Bravo, which is the Army. Okay, I was a scout infantryman. Went as a private. I come out, went to school a little bit, come back, went to Armor Officer Basic course up in Fort Knox, Kentucky, tank commander. But here's the thing, man. You're in, your camouflage fatigues. They shave your head. You're all treated the same.
Yep.
You all get the same pay. There's all kinds of guys, man. I learned a lot about different religion and stuff when I was in there, and you have to get along. Mm-hmm. You'll run till you puke, and so it's like football practice, So here it is. You don't have time to argue.
Yeah.
You figure out a way to work as one cohesive team unit, and you start to realize that hey, we're all pretty cool. We're all human.
Yeah.
So we're all one race, man. So we're all cool.
That's why I feel like America's ran into that problem where you said they don't have time to argue. Like I think that's America's problem right now. It's like if we aren't at war with another country, we're like at war with ourselves. Exactly. And it's like we get bored. So we just like cause issues in America when we get bored. And it's really sad, but it's just, when you have we're trillions of dollars in debt, but we say we have money, but America, so many people have houses. We do have a large homeless population, but a lot of people have houses. So it's easy to get food, stuff like that. It's easy to make a quick buck in America compared to other countries. But it's really sad that we don't know how to communicate. People, even though social media now is as easily accessible as it is, people just really don't know how to just have that conversation, have that touch, like you were talking about public school system. Personally, I think that every kid, as you were talking about, every person should have to go through that basic training, system. But also
guys and girls. I'll put my daughters in there. Of course, I hope they're listening. So, anyways, now I know. But we're sluggish, physically fit, challenged kids nowadays as a whole. Okay, they're not, and I get it. Hey, you may not want your kids going out and playing because you can't tell if somebody's going to come by and shoot them up or. Hey, I get it, but here's the thing that kind of helps you get in shape.
Yeah, you
feel better. You make better decisions. Another thing, man, you kind of get along there. So, man, you're going to be better. Then you can come out. You can go to college. You can stay in the military. Yeah, you have patriotism for our country, love of our country. You're qualified in case if we do have a war, which we probably wouldn't have in that circumstance. Man, you can go to trade school. You can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. After that point. So, and then there's different MOSs. Some may be like like EMT type. Some could be an infantryman. Some could be engineering. So there's all kinds of different MOSs and job training in there, so which is really, really good. Yeah. But I guarantee if you did that, you would have less people committing crimes. You'll have people that are disciplined because they can get up and finally get out of bed. Because it forces you. Hey, nobody's going to be your buddy at 4:30 in the morning. But hey, when that trash can from the drill sergeant comes slamming down the hallway, it's time to roll. So that's the morning bell. But I think, man, that would be just that step alone would turn this country around.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that would be good. Man.
There's some country that does that. I can't think of it. It's like Israel.
Israel does that.
Do?
I'm pretty sure that the Iranians do that as
Okay.
well. I got a buddy, Muhammad, that he said he had to go through there, but they do that. So, there's nothing wrong with that, man. They're very loyal, even though they may not like the regime in charge. They're loyal to their history. And they have a lot of bad history too. I mean, Cyrus, but they love Cyrus, the Persian, king. But anyways, he slaughtered, a lot of the Israeli, folks. But, we have a bad history, but, it's just like this. Look at all the stuff, but just love that. Hey, this is the land that you can overcome. Even being slaves, you could still overcome to where you are today.
Yeah.
It's not where we should be, but it's a good step.
Yeah.
And civil rights. I mean, let me go back to chiropractic. The first chiropractic patient was a black janitor in Davenport, Iowa, who was deaf. Okay.
Wow.
And his name was Harvey Lillard. So D.D. Palmer, the founder, that had studied all of the anatomy and all this stuff, basically saw a knot sticking out in the back of his head, out of one of the vertebrae. He adjusted that vertebrae and it restored his hearing. So from that, he knew he was onto something.
Yeah.
The second patient had another knot sticking out between his neck and his upper back, and this guy actually had arrhythmias of the heart. So he adjusted that. It cleared out his arrhythmias.
Man.
From that birthed this whole profession. In the early 1900s, a lot of chiropractors were jailed for practicing medicine without a license. And so, I mean, it's not anything like the civil rights, but it is. A lot of them had to go to jail for that, trying to make a way for natural alternative health care. Which is kind of cool, in that sense. I mean, yes, they didn't have the education that the medical doctors, and I get it, the medical doctors thought, hey, man, they're stepping in on a turf.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, man, we're not prescribing anything. We're just, clearing out the nerve system function. And it's come full circle. They're more standardized, and chiropractic care has actually been accepted now. And most, a lot of the other interdisciplinary, health people have basically accepted that. So I think that's a cool thing. But, from that point, if Harvey Lillard wasn't ready to take that adjustment, man, we probably wouldn't even be in existence.
That's wild.
So it's pretty wild. And that's a cool deal. But, sometimes you have to step out and be the first one and, to do what's right. It's like, it takes a lot, just like, Dr. King. So it takes a lot to do that. So, but there's you finally, somebody's got to step up.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the one to kind of let's make a movement. Let's do something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, man.
I really think it's crazy, like what chiropractic has done for people, and a lot of people like to call chiropractors magicians. It's like they're just taking something that nobody knew about, and then boom, there you go. Like now you're fixed. Like, oh, you had bad hearing? Yeah, I fixed that too. So,
well, and osteopaths, you've heard of them, DOs. They're in the hospitals, but they've kind of sold out to being, they can prescribe. So nobody would know the difference between a DO and an MD. Okay, a medical doctor. So, but they used to do organ manipulation. Right? So they would take something that was dysfunctional like a gallbladder and they would manipulate that and we would get it working again. We've lost that art. And that's why I love the preservation of chiropractic. I think, we call it the vertebral subluxation complex. And all that means is a dislocation of one of the vertebrae putting pressure on abnormal, like twisting or rotation on the spinal cord or nerve root, putting pressure. But you reestablish that connection again and voila, stuff happens, but you can go through there, man. You can do that. I still do like hiatal hernia adjustments. I'll still do some, it's like for vertigo, I'll do a little maneuver there that we do, Epley maneuver. We'll also do like, some type of like spleen or some, palpation of different organs. But, that's a lost art. But, some DOs I'm sure probably still do that. But
do you do a lot of like, I guess muscle manipulation as well, because so I actually went to a physical therapist one time, and she was working on my my psoas, and that felt like she was stabbing me. So do you ever, 'cause I know that can be a symptom of back problems because I think it's like the psoas, the bottom part of the psoas is connected to the quadriceps, and then that attaches like part of the back. And so it's like when that psoas shortens, it causes like back issues. So is that something that
right on point, man?
So is that something that you have to address?
Attaches to your femur, right there by your quadriceps, goes up through underneath your obliques and hits your spine. And that is, really your center of gravity. But yeah, when we sit all the time, it shortens and contracts. You see people when you bend over and then you finally have to slowly stand up and hold your back. That's what happens. So you have to actually take that. And yes, we do those things. And physical therapists, they'll do a good job with that too. So some of those, muscle stuff, but we'll do some, like some tendons and ligaments. We'll do the shearing force to kind of get that going. A lot of times when somebody like pulls, like if you roll your ankle, for example, a lot of times I can get people back on 3 days back to the court.
Rolling.
Okay. Yeah, and rolling their ankle. Well, here it is. But, they may sit out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And, of course, I think, since they play a lot of games, they may be doing that just because they want to give them some rest. I don't know. But here's the thing. But a lot of times I could actually get that same player that's out 3 weeks back in 3 days.
That's crazy.
And here's what happens. I mean, reducing the inflammation, I say 3 days, 3 days of treatment, which may be over, 7-day period.
Yeah.
But so here's what happened, Jackson. So basically it's called an enthesis. But so you got a tendon or a ligament, ligaments connect bone to bone, tendons connect muscles to bone. So if it's ripping off, right, if you look at like the periosteum or the bone covering, it's like a flaky biscuit. Okay, it starts to come up, and now you have just microscopically you can see the bone fragments where it's ripping it off the bone. But if it's severe enough, it will actually cause a sprain in that ligament. Okay, well, before it rips it, sometimes it will pull that bone up, so it's so tender there. But I'll push that down. I'll pack it back down like you're packing clay back down. So you're pushing those fragments down because they're like little razor blades. It's slicing and dicing. Yeah. It's called an enthesis, but it's causing internal damage. But once I push it back down, and I have to do that, man, it hurts like crap. It's like a little dagger, like you say, that iliopsoas muscle. Yeah. But it's like a little knife, it feels, but it's only for, a minute or two. Yeah. And but when I do that and push it down, then your bone glue, which is called glycoproteins, but it starts to adhere and start to mend and start to heal that up. But that's how you have to get it down. If I would take a blanket and I would put them, 2 feet apart and try to thread it together, that's inefficient. Yeah. But when I pack it down, like I'm butting them up, it's the time frame, man, you can heal up a lot faster. Of course, we use like some lasers. We got a class 2 laser. We also got a class 4 laser. And that's just different spectrum. There's a healing light, healing energy without any, radiation. But basically, now everybody uses that. But it stimulates your mitochondria. Well, that's the energy, like your battery of the cell. Mm-hmm. So that's the energy that you have. But it also helps, like push out some bad toxic waste, cellular waste, and it brings in like nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator. So it brings in the good oxygen to there. So. But yeah, we'll use some other things in there too, some modalities that I love.
That's wild.
Yeah, some cool stuff, man.
I really think that there is an issue that people, I don't know, I feel like people who get into, I guess, a mindset of how they're supposed to function, and then, or even like people who get lazy about like how they function. So, even as far as like sitting, like, they'll talk about people or like on your phone, like with your forward head tilt and stuff like that. Like those type of things end up causing people issues just by, I guess, not being cognitive of what they're doing, or, it might be lack of knowledge. I don't know. Like some people just don't know, like, how to do a legit squat. Like sometimes people, they squat wrong. They've been squatting wrong their whole life, and now they've developed this, knee pain, foot pain, or hip pain, and it's just because they've been doing the same thing constantly the wrong way.
Yes. So. Well, that's a lot of we do that. We take everybody through that Blitz 45 functional training. We're located at Poplar and Highland. So here's what happens: we take people through what we call the functional movement screen, the FMS. So there's 7 different maneuvers, but we'll do like a shoulder mobility test to see your range of motion in your shoulder. We'll also do where you basically do a straight leg raiser. So you should actually come up. So we'll try to find out we'll do a squat, an overhead squat press, so we can see how far your range of motion. See if you can go to parallel. See if you can go past parallel without wobbling your knees. We'll try to look at some dysfunction.
Yeah.
And just like you say, so here's what happens. It's called the crisscross syndrome. And that's one of the things that we diagnose. Physical therapy probably diagnoses this well too. But so, for example, when we used to call it tech neck, which is forward from technology.
Okay. Yeah.
But now we call it text neck. But so anyway,
Yeah.
so we went from tech neck to text neck.
Yeah.
But that forward head posture, that forward movement, for every inch this ear hole is forward of your AC joint in your shoulder, it doubles all of the carrying capacity for those neck muscles in the back. So now it has to go into lock mode.
Yeah.
Okay. So guess what? You have a reverse curve in your neck, but you're losing that because now instead of where it should be balanced, your head on average weighs 10 to 12 pounds. Now it's 24, 36, 48. So here it is. At the end of the day, no wonder it's fatigued.
Yeah, yeah.
No wonder you get that little fatty pad build up in the back of your neck. You see that little stuff some people get.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, and guess what? Here's the thing. The crazy thing is, about 20-25% of the blood to your brain comes from your neck bones. It's called the vertebral arteries. You got your majority comes through your carotids in the front portion, and the back portion is the vertebral arteries. When you clamp those down, guess what? You're having decrease in glucose and oxygen up to your brain. This is the most consuming organ, right? It regulates everything. Well, you can develop Parkinson's from having that, okay? Because it's going to your cerebellar tract, some of those things back there, okay? Something that's, as a human body, if our tissue is not receiving the oxygen that it needs from the blood, okay, from the capillaries and all this stuff. You've seen that a lot of times in people with diabetes, down your toes, right? So we also have the Mid-South Neuropathy Treatment Center, but I treat people with neuropathy. Do great work with that, man. I get a lot of physicians that send me people. People I don't even know, they send me people, which is cool just because they got a cool name.
Yeah,
but, they're like, what neuropathy? Send that guy, But I do that, man. So we do vibration therapy. We do the laser therapy. We're actually getting that waste out of there. If not, I've helped people from having diabetic ulceration that wouldn't heal. We've healed them up using that, and this is one of the crazy things. A pill's not going to do that, man. I wished it would.
Yeah,
I'd be stupid to do what I did if a pill would work. I'd be giving pills myself. But I like this because I like the physicality. I like the closeness of people.
Yeah,
I like getting in people's spaces, and a lot of people don't like you in their space.
Yeah,
I have to figure out a way how to do that in order to make this work as a team. And I always tell people, it's not me, it's you. I mean, I'm here with you to help you.
Yeah,
but it's it's kind of a cool thing because I like doing physical stuff, man. But, just doing that. So I do the joint, adjustments or manipulation of the feet. I also will actually do the laser thing. We'll actually get them circulating, increasing. We may have to change up their diet, okay, especially with type 2 diabetes. A lot of doctors just say, hey, man, just go for a walk. Well, that helps circulation, and it may help burn some calories, 2 to 4 hours afterwards and all this stuff. You might want to start out with that, but that's not going to combat diabetes.
Yeah.
You have what? Blood sugar. Okay. How does your body get rid of that sugar in your blood? Well, it produces the insulin, okay, from your pancreas. It forces the blood out of there into your muscles. Okay. But unfortunately, that's not the right answer. You give an insulin shot. It's here it is. If you do something, and how does that blood sugar just go down instantly after you do something like that? Where does that go? People are like, oh, okay, well, my blood sugar is normal, so I must be healthy. No, it's going to the retina of your eyes. It's causing blindness. It's going to your kidneys. It's forcing it in there. So now you got kidney damage. You're going to be on dialysis. It's going to, so it's really not a good thing.
Yeah.
Another way you can do it, which is a better deal, let me give you a program, an exercise program where you can combat that. And here's what you got to do. You got to work out. You got to break down your muscles tissue. Now, instead of forcing it from insulin that your body has to produce, or you have to give, pseudo insulin shots, know what I'm saying, some injections.
Yeah.
Now, your body, when you break it down, you make it hungry. You're hungrier after you work out.
Yes.
So then what it does, it takes that blood sugar and it it sucks it up. So it doesn't need insulin to push it up. It's making it hungry, so it takes it away and it utilizes it. So, but you have to do that. And you can do it with body weight exercises. You could do it with bands. I love bands, especially with people that's starting out.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to injure yourself when you're stepping on a band. If you're doing a bicep curl, you know, as you know, if you have a static weight, okay, of 25 pounds, you're weaker down here, you know, and, you know, it could actually probably hurt your joints and stuff from down here. But when you're stronger, you can do it up here fine.
Yeah.
But with a band, if you're pulling it, it's weaker there. But as it starts to get taut and tight, it gets where you need it. So it's really more effective. I know Terrell Owens played for the Cowboys, and you know he used to use that.
Oh, okay.
But he was a big band guy.
Yeah.
But you know I love those bands, and you can get a set of bands, man, for $30 or $40, and probably even cheaper than that now.
Yeah.
But you know there's really no excuse for us not to work out.
Yeah.
I bet.
True.
And I know it's all about habits, habitual stuff. You know, it takes about 21 times before you form a habit.
Yeah.
So work out 3 times a week for 7 weeks, man, you own it.
How do you feel about people's, I guess, like their flexibility? That's something that me and Rachel have been working on a lot lately. It's this program called Gymnastic Bodies. It's a guy, Coach Sommers, and he basically created this program that like gives people, like, it maximizes their flexibility in like so there's a front split and a middle split thing that we do, and those two things, so they're about 45 minutes long, the whole series, and it destroys me. But the hamstring part of the front split, and then like just the inside part of my legs on the middle split, they get so sore. And do you feel like people's flexibility has, you know, do you think it's like pretty bad overall, like most people, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm speaking to myself. Yes, we don't nearly stretch enough for sure, and I think that's one of the things is, you know, for joint health, you got muscles and tendons and ligaments that cross that joint. So for your knee, even though, you know, you hear people, oh man, I have bone on bone, millimeters of movement will actually open up that joint space. So when you stretch that knee, so let's take a look at a knee. Okay, so you got your quads that cross over and it forms this patellar tendon that, you know, attaches to your shin bone. You got your gastrocs, which is your calf muscle that goes up there. You got your back of your leg, the hamstring. So really, you got those muscles. That's it. And of course, you do have your collateral ligaments and some of that stuff inside your knee. But when you stretch those out, guess what you're doing? You're opening up that joint space. So now it's like a sponge, okay? It's called synovial fluid. That's your WD-40 within your joints. So here it is. If it's friction, it's just grinding, you're going to wear that joint out, okay? And then, you know, it's going to start to crack. It's going to start to rupture like the meniscus or the cartilage in there. But you open that up, guess what happens, man? Now you got, you know, instead of that, you know, sponge that was, you know, that you wring out, now it actually absorbs stuff. So it can actually have good fluid, that synovial fluid can once again manufacture again. So your body can do that. So we'll do that. Yeah, we need to build up flexibility, but then I'll do like the joint manipulation where I open that space up. I decompress the joints. That's what I do. But yeah, that's what, you know, flexibility is the key. Every workout, Blitz 45 is 45 minutes, right? So here's what happens. That 45-minute time frame, we'll warm up. We'll do a high-intensity interval training HIIT, which is good. So we're doing a full total body workout. But then we'll do a cool down, and with that cool down, we go straight into a myofascial release with a foam roller. We're pumping out the broke down waste like lactic acid, so you're not going to be as sore as much, and it's going to actually cause that muscle to elongate and heal up.
You think that's necessary, like immediately after? Or?
Well, I do. I mean, we do it every class. Okay. Every time we do that training, man, I mean, we go right into that, and people like it. I mean, you know, you can feel that sucker on your IT bands and glutes and, you know, your piriformis, your, you know, rotator cuff, but, you know, it's good for you. And I always tell them, don't do it where it makes you sore, but maybe 5 to 7 rolls. Okay. So, but yeah, you don't have to do it long, man. It's a good 7 or 8 minute deal. But I think we're the only program in pretty much that I'm aware of, especially around here, that does that after every single training, and we encourage that. But yeah, I think flexibility, we're losing. I mean, and here it is. It helps. Okay, So another thing, we're talking about the psoas contractions, all right? So here it is. If you're bent over like this, guess what it's doing to your aorta? It's causing that. You can never have plaquing of an artery until it starts to become hard. So arteriosclerosis happens before atherosclerosis. So here's what happens. When you have that forward, flexion, this not only is the muscles, the deep neck muscles pulling that downward, but now your carotid arteries are starting to shorten.
Oh, wow.
So guess what happens? Then it starts to plaque. Once it becomes contracted, it gets hard. And then at hardening, there's no, so you need to take every part of your body through extension. When there's a flexion, just like your elbow crease, take it through extension. Take your fingers back. Okay, take your neck, look up, unless you're probably a crop duster or flagger or something. I don't know. You don't look up as much.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe a mechanic or something. I don't know. But lean backwards. I mean, take your knees through extension. Take everything through extension. And you're also loosening up your ligaments, your muscles, and your blood vessels, everything. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's something that, like, when I do so, a lot of people, when they work out, they do, they say, like, back and bis because they're both pulling motions.
Yeah.
I've always been a tris and bis because when I do so many curls, I feel like doing my triceps and then extending is like the best situation for me because I'm not, I don't want to walk around like this all day.
Yeah.
So I try to do the biceps with triceps so that not only am I doing that contraction during my workouts, but then I get that extension in my workout, so it opens up that muscle.
Yeah, that inhibitory effect. I think it's great too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to take whatever you do, just do the opposite. That antagonist muscle. Yeah, and I know it. I mean, we used to do the old bicep back, and because it's working the same thing, you're wearing them out. But I agree with you. I've worked out like that before, but I like working out the way you say too. So it's effective. Plus, I like doing my arms on the same day. You get a good pump, man.
Yeah,
you look good, But
exactly.
But it's. I think that's imperative that people should do that. So, because here it is, like you say, you don't want something to contract for so long, But yeah, hit it just the opposite on the opposite side. You're fine.
So one thing I wanted to ask you was about so when people pop their neck or their fingers or whatever, popping some sort of anything in their body, is what do you feel like is the real truth behind that? A lot of people say, I guess the old adage, your parents tell you you're going to get arthritis, by popping that. So what is the real truth behind all that?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, you're not going to get arthritis unless you overdo it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take something, take it through distraction. Okay, so you're basically just pulling it straight out. But a lot of times they'll crunch it and twist it and differently where you're misaligning those.
Okay.
So if you do that, you will, because those are little intrinsic ligaments and stuff that are attached to those joint surfaces. So you could do that. But and also, you're feeling that inside like your neck. Well, when you do it yourself, you're not getting the stuck one.
Yeah.
There's always, for everyone that's stuck, there's one above it or below it that's hypermobile, not hypomobile. So you're not getting the hypomobile joint restriction, but you're going to get the one that's too loose. So you're building up instability. So here's the thing, but you will get a pop out of the deal, and it does send off some endorphin release. So it's like, it feels good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, but it comes back.
Yeah.
So, but somebody that's certified and trained to do that can get the one that are stuck, and then of course it's going to feel better too.
Yeah.
But because they're getting the ones that are stuck. So that's the real key is, can you do it and feel better? Yeah, you're going to get the endorphin release, but you're probably going to build some instability within there. So, just take it through decompression. You're going to be okay. And, those inversion tables, they help a little bit. I think it's good just for your circulation to go back, backwards a little bit, kind of mix it up a little bit. But it's not the same. I mean, I got a spinal decompression table, so it's a safe alternative, FDA approved to back surgery, and probably before back surgery you can do that. But then, but what that does, that pulls you apart, and so I like that. But you have to get. It's like I always describe that like I can do it short time, and I've decompressed spines for a long time, but. I like that decompression table too because it opens those spaces up and allows the disc to go in that negative pressure. It's called imbibition, but then you get good blood and oxygen flow. and it kind of heals up like that. But, it's like a linebacker. I always describe it as, a linebacker hits a cruise ship. He may be a 280-pound guy, but he's not going to budge that cruise ship going up there and hitting it because of pure mass.
Yeah.
But you take that same guy and he leans on that cruise ship on the dock, he's finally going to drift away for time.
Yeah.
So, he can't do it in one time, but he could do it over time by just, allowing his body to lean against it. It will drift away from the dock. So that's kind of what happens. So that's why, but we use the best tools. We get the best results by using, we have to have different things in there to get the best results. So anyways, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's going to be cool, man, to see what that does for people. But we put them through that and through therapy, and we get fabulous results with that.
What is something that you feel like, I guess, people lack as far as their knowledge of that they should really educate themselves more when it comes to like your field?
Man, I think, I love nutrition. I love functional medicine, looking at people's blood work and then giving them the proper, clinical evidence-based like supplementation, nutraceuticals, stuff to get them well. Okay, find out. But I think if people would take a big knowledge and greater knowledge in the nutrition field and how that works, and also through like just doing like workouts and different things, if they just take a little bit of time, man, they can educate themselves greatly. They stretching, range of motion increase, working out, some workout techniques, and we're there to help them with that. But nutrition stuff, if they would take just those interests, man, it would change their family's life. Because just like this whole COVID-19 deal, you hear all these things, you hear vaccines, you hear the scare, you hear the deaths, you hear who's talking about boosting up your immune system?
Yeah, right.
Where is that? Who's talking about, when you do have it, man, let's do some workouts. Let's keep your immune system strong.
Yeah.
Let's flush it out. Let's, you do hear people say, hey, let's stay keep from being dehydrated. So hydrate yourself.
Yeah.
But, why don't you do that before you get it?
Yeah.
Not after you get the flu. Let's stay hydrated. Let's go ahead and get hydrated now, man. This is a universal solvent. I love water. I drink tons of water. I do drink coffee in the morning, but pretty much water and coffee is all I drink.
Yeah.
So maybe a cold beer. That's what it's say. But there's natural things. There's nothing wrong with a glass of wine. Once again, they've got some antioxidants. Talking about some wild fruits. Man, let's go with the grapeseed extract. But yeah, man, if they would take interest in that, but boost up your immune system, you can do that. People need to be pumping that up, and they're going to be fine. And if you'll do that, you can, once again, your immune system, hey, there's this proven to actually help your immunoglobulin response. I will actually adjust my kids. There's actually research that your immune system is boosted up by about over 200% just getting chiropractic adjustments. When you clear out the nerve system stress, not only is it helping with your muscle system and your skeletal system, and you're going, autonomic nerves, once again goes to your organs and glands, your spleen, but it helps shut down that fight or flight response. It shuts off that sympathetic. So now your white blood cells can go back to their spleen to recharge. So it helps with everything. There's, we've done some pre and post like EKG adjustments and see how it changes the, physiology of the heart just from your adjustments of the spine.
That's crazy.
Also, yeah, I've done that with, blood pressure, all kinds of stuff, which is cool. So I recommend, man, everybody, you get adequate sleep. Get some sunshine, man. You get 15,000 international units of vitamin D production just by going out into the sunshine 10 minutes a day. You don't need to go out there, man. People are getting shots here, and hey, man, they get so much vitamin. But here's the deal, and they're still deficient. That's the bad thing. But get out there in the sun, man. A lot of African Americans don't do that. Why don't they do that? Well, they don't want to get darker and all this stuff. But you're only talking about 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But look at a lot of these older folks, man. These grandparents used to sit out on the porches. They'd stay out there all day.
Yeah.
But you know what? You need that. And here it is. They weren't nearly as sick. They didn't have the better sanitation effort, so, probably we're living longer, but not really our quality of life's any better.
Yeah.
And here it is. They were eating what? Bacon, eggs, butter. Go back to the natural stuff, man. All this artificial stuff. After the 50s, what happened? After Dwight D. Eisenhower had a heart attack, man, Big Pharma stepped up with some meds, and Big Agri changed their deal. They said, hey, wait a minute, let's go fat-free. Mm-hmm. Well, man, fat's back, baby. Fat's back. I love some old fat. but avocados, good fats, but also just, there was a study just now, but saturated fats aren't causing cholesterol. So they finally come full circle. Listen, man, you get omega-3s from steak. Okay, and I'm not saying you have to eat a lot of red meat and all that stuff, but fish oil is good. We need those fats. Every single cell has what we call a phospholipid layer. Well, that lipid is fat. That's what lipid is. So basically, you need to replenish those good fats. Your brain has all the fats. Your brain needs that myelin sheath that covers all your nerves. That has it helps propel the nerve flow. But you need that covering. So that's called the myelin sheath, but it's all a fatty layer. But that helps with neurotransmissions. But yeah, man, your body needs that. So. People, there's a lot of information, maybe, I'd like to, which I do that sometimes, little bitty talks of 20-minute talks a lot of times of even like, nutrition or this. But there's so many topics, man. Just endless,
All right, man.
Cool.
It's been great having you on. You got anything for the people? You're wearing the Blitz shirt. You talked a little bit about that. You got something to plug in right now for the people?
Yeah, man. Blitz 45, it's a high-intensity interval training, but we also have open gym access, man. We got some great deals going on right now. So as low as $59 up to $199. So, fit in where you get in. Whatever you want to do. So you can do class training. You can have coaches. This is all about personal training. So, you have somebody to kind of walk you in baby steps, so they can hold your hand and they can come up with a program for you, which is awesome. But you can also have personal training, one-on-one time, or you can have small group training. But, we have the best sanitation in the business. So we go through there every week. We clean it, thoroughly after every workout. So, we're trying to limit that, but we had the AstroTurf, we had the sleds, the battle ropes, all the specialized equipment. So, cool stuff. We also have 100-pound kettlebells. So, it's a small little CrossFit type stuff, but we can get you a workout, man. If you want to sweat and get in shape, but the real deal with us is we do not want injuries. Mm-hmm. So I'll even give you like a little body, biomechanic, little evaluation. We'll do the functional movement screen. We'll see where you need to start. If you can't do a kettlebell swing for your hip dominant, hamstrings exercise, then we might get you to do a deadlift. If you can't do a deadlift, then you'll start on the floor with a hip bridge, a glute bridge. So we can do all the corrective exercises for you to get you where you need to be. Also, we have the Mid-South Wellness. We do COVID testing. If you have commercial insurance, it pays 100% right now. So regardless of deductibles or whatever, but we'll test it. If you want us to test you, we'll do that. It's good to know, man. Good, let your family know, hey, but, also your coworkers, but we'll do that. But we do functional medicine. We can take your blood and figure out exactly what you're deficient in. I don't care if you have cancer, if you have diabetes, whatever, or if you don't have anything, or if you just want to do that. But then we'll give you a report exactly what supplementation you need to help you get well. So it gives your body the best chance of recovery. It's kind of like Miracle Grow in vegetables, but you start giving yourself good, proper nutrients that you're deficient in. Then we also have chiropractic. We have the spinal decompression. We also do all the Mid-South Wellness, but we also have the Mid-South Neuropathy treatment. We treat neuropathies, any sort of neuropathy coming from diabetic neuropathy, of course, but even sciatic, arm tingling, hand, carpal tunnel-like syndromes, all that stuff. We'll find out exactly where it is. We'll get down to the root cause, man, and then we promise one thing, man. We may not get you we'll always get 100% improvement. Mm-hmm. Maybe not 100% resolvement, or but we will give you a big bear hug, and we'll love you with 110%. Nobody wants you any more well than we do. I promise you. So that's
awesome,
it, man. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I enjoyed it, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for everybody tuning in, and see you next time.
All right. Peace.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. And if you would, hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button allows you to, subscribe to the podcast. And if you give me a like and give me a comment, that would help out as well. Commenting allows you to have a conversation with me, and liking it allows me to know that you actually like it. And if you dislike it, hit the dislike button twice. That's a real help out for me. So, comment, like, subscribe, and let's keep it rolling.